تقرير مجد الكيلاني. نرحب بضيفنا هيو شيكشاف. That was Mag's report. Welcome, Huw Shakeshfat. Second time.
Thank you for having me back, Adel.
Yes, only
great
people of sort of certain caliber come to us. On the multiculturalism that is actually happening in Britain, why some of those lefty councils do that? Sometimes they interfere, sometimes they just take a seat back. And
I think one of our biggest problems here is everybody's talking about integration, and then different communities don't integrate, and then you can't force it on them. And culturally, I just think that for the young lady, it would have been a very difficult circumstances for her to be put in.
And she'd been sort of moved
twice. And it now turns out that there were family members available. So I really don't understand why that would occur.
Are actually the interference by governments in general, by the institution, by the social workers, too much, poking their nose in people's life too much?
I think that's one of the biggest problems is you've got people with a set agenda who will bend and force things, square pegs in round holes, just to try and tick off the box. And from a political point of view, once you start doing that, playing that with young people and the other family as well, let's be sure, they were given an alien child
they don't
as
know.
well.
They
don't really, they don't know.
Becoming like a pet.
Yeah, well, a pet, and just something they wouldn't know how to understand. The only way they understand is the culture they're growing up in. So naturally, they would expect to bring that child up in that culture, against maybe the child at 5 has no wishes either way on it.
We'll talk about Gilgit Carnival. I mean, when you and I were much younger.
Much younger.
Much younger. Yeah. Was it actually integration was going on better than it is now? What do you think?
Well,
what do you feel? Because you made a film before and so on.
Yeah, I think I would say yes. I mean, I was in the track team, an international athlete in a track team, and it was at that point. I mean, Daley Thompson I knew very well, yes. And it was at that point that black athletes were becoming, quite prevalent and prominent in the British team, and everybody was quite happy with that. And there didn't seem to be this isolation. I think one of the things we're paying the price for is that our media follows America.
Follows America, and this. Well, good time to take a break now. الناس بالاستراحة قصيرة ابقوا معنا. Back to you, Huw. We've just been talking about the negotiations in Brussels. Are they prolonging the negotiation, wasting time until the German election?
Without a shadow of a doubt. It's always been that we would be negotiating with the German industrialists. Anything, this posturing, grandstanding, bad-mouthing is causing nothing other than bad feeling, but it's absolutely achieving nothing till the real players come in after September 24th. So you're looking at November before anything really happens.
Basically Juncker and Barnier and the others are just wasting, they were just wasting time until the Germans come.
Well, they're not really going to be doing, irrespective of what they say, they have an empty hand at poker. They're about to lose the second highest net contributor to their budget.
Which is
why they want to create a divorce bill, which yesterday was taken apart line by line by a Mandarin from Whitehall. Turns out it was quite a young man. And there is no legal basis for all the nonsense that they're doing. There are certain, commitments that we have to meet, but nothing over and above that. There is no severance package. We're leaving, and that's the end of it. This is all about money for the EU, nothing else. Their political project is imploding. The Eurozone is in terrible trouble. The European Central Bank cannot be a lender of last resort. You've still got the Deutsche Bank issue with their balance sheet and their exposure in the contracts and difference market.
Because you do a lot of banking and investment, and if you can explain to our viewers, A, why it was a good idea that we didn't join the Euro, and B, is that project, the Euro, sustainable or not, as one currency and one bank?
Not at all. It's a common currency. Everybody calls it the single currency. It's not. It's a common currency.
What's the difference between a common currency and single
currency? Single currency would be like the US dollar across all the states in the US.
One value, one bank.
And one set of fiscal policies. In other words, the Fed will set monetary policy.
Common currency?
Yeah, a common currency is a currency that's used by different countries with their own fiscal policies, i.e. their own treasury departments.
So the real value of that currency differ from one country to the other,
Absolutely.
despite what they say.
And the biggest problem you have right now, what everybody says and nobody will say here, is the euro was set up purely and simply for Germany.
Right.
Against, in purchasing power parity terms, what that means is when you buy certain products around the world, if you base it in dollars, you can then break the euro down into each component country. Germany is 17% undervalued against the dollar on that basis. France is 7% overvalued, which means there's a 23% differential
Which is to our
between France and Germany, which makes it completely unsustainable.
Okay, before we leave, it's a very important story because this week, this whole hysteria about Diana was actually relived again, which was created by Tony Blair. But is it sort of an attempt to get at Prince Charles, now who stands for him, the man who knew him all his life?
I think, yeah, Charles is going to be king. Make no bones about that. He will be king. All of the rest of this is hot air and conversation, and the media are happy about it. You know, they can drive, circulation and everything else. Tony Blair, and I would say more Alistair Campbell, right, were the drivers behind it. He came out of that awfully well, Blair.
Yeah.
And the spin of Alistair Campbell, who is a Remainer, by the way,
he's
despicable man.
So they're trying to make fool of us, but they're
doing it again. Charles was a man born at a time to be king. He was groomed for one thing, to be king. He didn't have to be trendy with the masses.
Absolutely.
So he was in an unfortunate situation that tradition, and his mother instilled in him, the traditions and, civic duty.
I think, as we say in Egyptian, the last of the respected gentlemen is our generation. Thank you very much, Huw Shakeshfat, for coming. And that's all what we have this week. هذا كل ما عندنا، ونشوفكم الأسبوع القادم في صحة طيبة جميعا.